Now, Sports Talk with Broads. Here's Hunter Brody.
I love this move. I literally love this move by Howie Roseman to acquire Darius Slay, a cornerback that is reliable, a cornerback that can make plays, a cornerback that can intercept the football. That has not been seen here in this city in 6 billion years. How about breaking up the passes? Oh yeah, he can do that too. He can line up against the other team's best wide receivers. This is a huge acquisition. It took a 3rd-round pick, a 5th-round pick, and a 3-year contract extension worth $50 million, $30 million of it guaranteed. So it's a hefty price tag, but you are getting someone who can be an X factor, a guy who can run with the best, and it sure is going to be super exciting to watch every single week. We talk about leadership. We talk about losing Malcolm Jenkins and what he provided for this locker room. You just gained a big part of that back. Now, not all of it. I am not claiming that he is just as good as a leader as Malcolm Jenkins, but he is very respected around the league. The guys in the locker room in Detroit loved him. He brings energy to the table. He works his ass off. This is a type of guy who works hard on the field and off the field, and everybody loves his message. It's going to be a huge addition to the vibe in the room, and it's going to be a collaborative effort to make up for what Malcolm Jenkins brought to the table, but getting Darius Slay is a huge help to fixing that hole, and I really am super stoked. Now, comparing this to Byron Jones, I wanted Byron Jones, truthfully. I did, and guess what? I think the Eagles did too. I'm not saying this was a desperate move. I think this was a move that they had on their blueprint. You can date that back to last year. At the trade deadline, Howie was on the phone with the Lions consistently calling about this man because they were in a position to go out and help this football team, so they thought that would be an opportunity to do so. My point is, these two teams have talked before. This has been a discussion before, so this wasn't as if it was option number 12 on the list. It was pretty high up there, but I still believe that Byron Jones was probably their first option. Comparing the two players, I'm not going to knock Byron Jones. He's younger. He would be here longer. Now, you would pay more. Look at that guaranteed contract. It's a lot harder to get out of a Byron Jones contract than it is a Darius Slay. I like what Byron Jones brings to the table. I think he's a hell of a cornerback. But I do believe that Darius Slay is better. He does provide a little bit more oomph in his game. He can intercept the ball really well. He is a ball hawk, and I love that. I'm so used to not seeing that. So being able to watch that every single Sunday is going to be super fun. I do give the edge to Darius Slay. Although he is coming off of a season that was not so great for him, he's still a phenomenal football player. And when you look at his entire package, he has the ability to be a dominating force in the secondary, and that's what truly makes me excited. So there was no reason to freak out to this insane degree. Things like this happen. There are so many moves that can be made outside of the top biggest free agents on the market, and you watched Howie go out there and execute a game plan. A 3rd and a 5th, when it comes to the compensation in just draft picks, I am stunned with what it took. I thought it would take a 2nd or so. So to see a 3rd and a 5th, and I'm not trying to pretend like a 3rd-round pick isn't much. It does have value, absolutely. But looking at the compensation picks that the Eagles had, it sort of was a no-brainer when you allow another team to go out and get Nick Foles. It gives you more picks. The compensation pick process is sort of a joke, but hey, I'll take it any day if it's going to help out the Eagles. I think it's this simple. There's no way any Eagles fans can be disappointed on what just happened. You got a guy who will solidify an outside corner role and be a stud at that spot. It's not like they just got another Jalen Mills, another Sidney Jones, another Ronald Darby where it's a huge question mark. It's a question mark in terms of, is he going to be the 2017 version of himself where he had 8 interceptions, or is it going to be the 2019 version of him where it wasn't his smoothest year? You saw spurts of dominance, but you also saw some spurts of, ooh, okay, Slay, what are you doing there? What version are you going to get? But you're getting a real NFL corner that you know will be able to compete, and he will be there for you to stop opponents. And that's what you're getting. It's not a question mark in terms of, what is Sidney Jones? What is he? And we need guys you can count on. You need veteran-type players. He's not old. He's not young, but he's not old. You're paying him decent money, but that's what it takes. That's what it takes to go out and get him. That was a big part of this deal. You have to make that happen, or else you will have a monster hole in your secondary that you can't afford. You're going to stop the run. You're going to have a great defensive line. But last year, we witnessed a great run-stopping team. But what would happen? The DBs would get abused. Teams would drop back. They would throw bombs. There would be wide-open receivers left and right, and the team was screwed. That will now change. But I wonder how Jim Schwartz elects to do this, because Jim Schwartz is known to be stubborn, although last season he changed his philosophy quite a bit based off of his personnel, which I loved. I thought Jim Schwartz had his best season as an adjuster, as someone who was able to adapt, so maybe that will help him down the road here. I wonder if he's going to line him up against the opponent's best wide receiver every game, or if he will stay on one side of the field. That concerns me, because if the best receiver on the team ends up lining up against whoever the other corner is, which it might be Sidney Jones or somebody else that they draft this year, I don't know how comfortable I am with that situation going down. I would think you put Darius Slay on the opponent's best wide receiver every single time that squad is on the field in a meaningful football game, because that makes the most logical sense to me. Going with Jim Schwartz, though, there is a connection. Jim Schwartz was in Detroit. Darius Slay was drafted by Detroit. There's your connection. I think about how Malcolm Jenkins left, and instantly one of my thoughts came to Jim Schwartz. Was it a mutual thing? Was he okay with this? Was he upset with Howie? Was he upset with Doug when they made the decision to move on from Malcolm Jenkins? If so, was this a Jim Schwartz move? Went in there and looked at Howie and said, listen, you took away Malcolm Jenkins, go get me Darius. Go get me my guy that I brought into the organization when I was there. Go get that guy for me. He will be beneficial. He's what we need. It fixes a hole. Let's make it happen. I just wonder if Jim Schwartz had a big voice in this process. I would imagine that he did. Really, I would imagine that he did. I think about that second spot, though. If he's going to solidify one major spot in that cornerback room, who's next? Who is the next guy? And Avonte Maddox is good in the slot. Cravon LeBlanc, good in the slot. I'm talking about an outside guy. Do they go with the draft? Do they go with Xavier Rhodes? And I think he is so washed up. But if he's not going to be your number one, is it worth taking a chance if no other team is going to? It's very iffy. It's very scary. I think he looks defeated in this league. Would I like that over giving Sidney Jones another chance? I might. I might actually, because I think the pressure is off of him if there's a Darius Slay. And speaking of pressure, there's a lot of pressure on him to perform. I mentioned he's not coming off of his best year ever, so he better show it in a respectful way. I'm not trying to be brutal or being harsh, but you get paid that money, you get brought in here to be a number one corner. You're now in a city where, I'm not trying to say Michigan has no fans, Detroit has no fans, but it's Philadelphia, and it's a different beast over here. We can be mean, we can be just a tough crowd to please. Let's just say it like that. You get beat on a double move in the first game, what's the reaction? What's the Twitter feed going to be like? What's sports talk radio going to be like? He's going to have to bring it and really, really ball out, and I expect him to, because it seems like he has that attitude, that swagger to his game, and most likely, when you are a corner who is successful in this league, you have that because you need to forget about the next play. Going to the Jalen Ramsey situation that occurred in the season, these first-round picks to go out and get this guy, I was so against it. I was so against giving up all these first-round picks for a Jalen Ramsey. And guess what? It seems like the Eagles made the right move. That package was too much. I would rather have Darius Slay on this contract any day of the week than give up all those picks and that big package for someone like Jalen Ramsey. If Darius Slay is at the top of his game, you're talking about a top 5 corner or so. And even if you want to debate that, it's easily top 10. And if it's between top 5 and top 10, okay, that's fine by me. This team was working with slop. So to be able to keep your first round picks and to get someone who's top 10 at the cornerback position when he is playing at his best, well then, come on. I mean, you shouldn't even blink twice when it comes to which option you'd rather have. So I'm super stoked. I think he brings a lot to the table in terms of his style of play, his energy, his leadership, and just filling a void that this team really, and I mean really, needed to fill. They haven't had a corner like this since Asante Samuel. That has been the comparison all day long, and I think that is the perfect comparison. Because there is a guy back there now that you can rely on, you can trust. I was told there's no one out there that you can trust. I mentioned this a few days ago. You need someone who you can actually believe in to make a play. You need someone who can line up against talented players on the other side. You need someone who can bring that experience, a good mix of experienced, but not way too old, and he can still run, and he won't get torched every play. And I was told there's no such thing unless you made a trade for Jalen Ramsey and made these trades for these top-tier elite players. I think I proved you wrong. This is a great fit. I just wonder if people, fans, think about it differently if they did this day 1, day 2 of free agency. Do people now think this was a desperate move? I don't think it was to the point of being desperate. I think they wanted Byron Jones more, but it's not to the level of, oh, I got to do something, let's just pull the trigger. This was one of their top things to do. You look at your to-do list. It's hanging up on your fridge. How he gets his coffee, he looks at the to-do list today, and it says, get a cornerback. And then there's a little bullet point next to that. And it gives you your names. Darius Slay was absolutely up there. You didn't have to give up compensation if it came to Byron Jones or any other player out there. But with the talent you're getting in return, and for a 3rd and a 5th, it's not like you gave up the house. You also have a ton of picks to begin with. I love it. So what we're going to do is we're going to take some phone calls. The phone line was off the hook when this news broke. The 24/7 anytime hotline is 856-442-9805. You can call in at any time you want. It is open all the time. Let's start this bad boy off because there is a lot to get to, and I loved hearing the reaction. As I stated, it's hard to be disappointed. How can you be disappointed? You got a guy you can count on. You got a guy who can play cornerback and make plays at that position. It's a great move by Howie.
Hey, bros. My name's Levi. I'm a 19-year-old in North Carolina, but my heart's in Philly. My family's from Philly, so I really enjoy your videos and what you do for the Phillies teams in general. And as far as Darius Slay goes, I'm very psyched about it. I think it's an excellent move by Howie Roseman. I think this is exactly what he wanted to do by letting Malcolm Jenkins go, even though that entire situation is a little fishy with the price tag that Malcolm Jenkins got in New Orleans. But I think for a 3rd and 5th round pick, not giving up a player, I think it's a fantastic move. And we did make him the highest paid cornerback in the league, which we obviously didn't give that money to Byron Jones. But I think with Darius Slay, you get someone who is a little bit more of a ball hawk, big play Slay. I think it's a fantastic move.
I love that word. Ball hawk. Oh, let's go. Let's go. A ball hawk. He's gonna be running downfield, looking behind him, swatting the ball. He's gonna be running downfield, looking behind him, grabbing the ball, interception, Eagles ball. Let's go the other way. It's gonna be so entertaining to watch. Now with the Malcolm thing, yeah, it is fishy. And you also brought up the highest paid corner thing. That doesn't mean too much to me. First off, we don't know the breakdowns of all of these contracts. There are ways for teams to get out of these. When you look at Byron Jones and all that guaranteed money, it's so much harder to get out of that than, say, 30 mil. I'm not trying to make it seem like 30 mil is not a lot of money because it definitely is. But if you look at if he gives you a couple years and you can cut him and you only guarantee this, you can't just cut Byron Jones's contract out because it's just so hefty. And it's a lot harder to, let's just say it's a lot harder to get out of a contract like that. But once again, once you see the numbers and how it specifically broke down, it's different. For example, Vitae getting that 5-year, $50 million deal, go look at it. You can easily, and I mean easily, get rid of Vitae after the second year. So with that being said, all this highest paid, this guy highest paid, that guy, it truly doesn't matter. It just matters about the guaranteed money and when you are able to cut them. I mean, these contracts are essentially not what they say from the jump. It's more of whatever it is, probably 3 years shorter, and the players know that because that's why the whole guaranteed money thing is the big fight between the players, the agents, and the ownership. I mean, that's why it is the way that it is, and that's why they fight for guaranteed money, because whatever the contract is in years, it's not really that. Just like Malcolm Jenkins' contract. It's not really a 4-year deal, although it could be if he plays that well for that long, but they can get rid of him after 2 and only pay him the $16.25.
Hey, bros, what's going on? My name's Keith. I'm a huge Lions fan, unfortunately. So I just kind of wanted to chime in on the Darius Slay trade. It's no surprise. I mean, he's kind of been asking to get out of Detroit for one reason or another. And ultimately, I didn't think the Lions were going to pay him anything what the Eagles ended up paying him, and I think he was kind of understanding of that. In regards to Slay as a player, though, he's now reunited with Jim Schwartz, who originally drafted him in Schwartz's final season as the Lions coach. Since then, I mean, he's been one of the best, if not the best, cover corner in the league. And just because he's in Detroit, I think he's pretty underrated as a player. He rarely gets beat over the top, and literally every single game he's going against the top wide receiver on the team. And in Detroit, he was getting very little help over the top. So it was pretty much on an island all the time, and he's been pretty dominant. Back in 2017, he had a standout year. He had 8 picks. But since then, I mean, he's just had 5. He gets his hands in on pretty much everything. He's, top in the league in deflection since he joined the league, maybe like top 5 in that. But the last 2 years, I mean, he's been hampered by knee and hamstring injuries, and that's definitely slowed him down. So I mean, if he can stay healthy, I think this will be a great trade for both teams. As a Lions fan, I was hoping for a second rounder in return, but the 3rd and the 5th, I think is ultimately pretty fair. Curious your opinion on this one, and have a good one, bro.
Thank you very much for the phone call. A couple things made me smile. Just a couple. Actually, more like a handful. Talking about these interceptions, and I know it took a turn because he mentioned 2017, him having 8, and then it went downwards because of his injury. But we are now looking at a team that had nothing. When we talk about the Eagles, we were talking about corners who never made plays, who never swatted the ball down, who never caught interceptions. So if he doesn't give you 8 and he gives you 5, or if he gives you 3, or if he gives you 4, I mean, it's unbelievable. So it's kind of like a perspective thing. The Eagles have not had anything like this in forever. So now give me 90% of what Darius Slay was in 2017. It's such a difference maker. Now, what else was said? He's always on an island, and he makes plays when he's on that island. He rarely gets beat over the top. Let's go. That's what I'm talking about. That's Jim Schwartz's scheme, too. I mean, he always has people out there on islands, and we would bitch. We would complain that it needed to stop. They needed secondary help over the top. Well, if you have a guy that can do his job and he can hold his own, then that helps everywhere else on the defensive side. I do wonder if they could have kept Malcolm, what this means. If they could have kept Malcolm, what could this mean? I do think about that. I really do. I do think about that. That contract, it bothers me. I'm not going to lie. It bothers me.
Hey, bros. I thought the Darius Slay move was very good. I was looking up some stats. It says that the Eagles have given up 10 100-plus yard games to receivers last year, and Darius Slay has given up 400-plus yard games to receivers and 103 career games of covering opposing teams' number 1 wide receivers. Overall, I think it was a very good move by Howie Roseman. Anybody who had doubted him before, I think that they're all agreeing with him now, even after the Malcolm Jenkins move. Some people might have disagreed with that. I overall thought it was a good move, and this Darius Slay move was a very good move, in my opinion, and that gives us more freedom to draft players.
I'm stunned. I'm stunned by those stats. I mean, that's telling. That is very, very telling. Although with Schwartz's scheme, it was always sit back, allow people to throw the ball underneath, don't get beat over the top. But maybe that was because the corners would get beat over the top so much, he had to play that way. Because if he played press, if he played super aggressive, it wasn't going to work. So you'd rather them try and dunk and dive down the field. And then eventually, though, the Eagles would bite on a play action or something that would open up a spot, or there would be miscommunication between Rodney McLeod and Jalen Mills, or even Malcolm Jenkins. I remember Malcolm Jenkins once had a brutal miscommunication on his end, and he owned it. I'm not making it seem like he didn't own it, or I'm not trying to talk bad about Malcolm, but there were plays where these big chunk plays would happen, and I just wonder if it had something to do with personnel. Like, you could only play a certain way with some of these guys because you couldn't trust them. You could not trust them to make specific plays on receivers. Your only option was to try and limit the other guys from making plays, and I just want to see something unique. I just want to see something awesome happen with this defense. And if they go out and get Yannick from the Jags, and they work on this defensive front, because I like it. I like it a lot. It's almost like the Hargrave move barely gets talked about. For some reason, it barely gets talked about. If they add Yannick, oh my Lord, that would be unbelievable. They need help on the defensive end, but it would only be that much sweeter. That much sweeter if they could boost up that defensive end position, and it would only help out those corners even more. The quarterback wouldn't have time, and then he would just throw the ball at one of his receivers, and then you got your, hold on, wait for it, ball hawk cornerback Darius Slay just waiting to make a play. Oh.
What's up, Rhodes? What great news to wake up to. So the Eagles acquired Darius Slay for 3rd and 5th round picks, as you know. This is a must. This was a move that they needed to make. I mean, you know, we haven't had a legit lockdown corner, I mean, since, like, really Asante Samuel, if you really think about it. So, I mean, this is going to be a huge boost to the secondary. I mean, you know, losing Malcolm Jenkins, you know, that was an emotional move, but, I mean, it was definitely the correct move in the long term. I mean, the guy's 32, you know, he's going to be declining soon, and he was asking for way too much money. But moving Mills to safety, I feel like was a really good plan, and now you're bringing Slay in. It'll be interesting with how that secondary unfolds next year, and especially with our new defensive backs coach. It should definitely be interesting with how everything pans out. But I think this was a great move for the Birds, and I think it's definitely a good step in the right direction.
Jalen Mills in this new role will be something to watch. And I don't know why. It's just this gut feeling, and I hope it's not just the fan in me. But I feel like, based off of his attitude, I really do love his attitude. I'm obsessed with it from an athlete standpoint, like from an athletic standpoint. I love his mindset, his competitive fire, his nature. I love it. I feel as if it's such a Mamba mentality type of mindset that he won't fail. He won't allow himself to fail. He will go out there and battle at all costs. I'm excited to see what type of player he develops into at that safety position, or the hybrid, whatever he plays. If he is playing outside corner, okay, he needs to step in and play outside corner. The thing is, we've seen players get hurt. We've seen players miss time with injury, and this happened. There's a hole here in the middle of a season. He might be playing corner. Who knows? Or he might be playing full-time safety. Who knows? He's going to be playing in whatever option is available to him. Whatever spot in the lineup is there, he will go out there and compete his hardest. I just feel like for some reason he's going to have a decent season. Now, when I say that, that doesn't mean he's going to be an all-pro. That doesn't mean he's going to be a superstar. But I feel as if he was injured last year. He came back. He did pretty damn well for coming off of the injury. He missed a significant amount of time, remember. He was in that boot forever. I just have this feeling in my gut that he will be someone who will be a factor on this team. Once again, I'm not saying superstar, but a factor.
Bros, what's going on, man? This is Brad from New Jersey. Just letting you know, I am I don't know what to think about this Darius Slay acquisition. I just don't want it to become another, Nnamdi Asomugha, Byron Maxwell, one of them. Only cornerback I can really remember having truly a good season in Philadelphia after we acquired him is Asante Samuel, and he left, went to the Patriots, I believe. I'm not sure. I'm on the fence about this. I just hope he can pick us up, and we'll go from there.
I'm confused, and I respect it. I do. I respect your opinion, but I'm confused. Because what's the alternative? If you're upset about Darius Slay, and you're just, I wouldn't say upset, but you're questioning based off of history, each individual trade is different. Just because X person didn't work doesn't mean Y person won't work. It's sort of like just because the Sixers missed on Markelle Fultz, well, they can never pick another guard again with the first pick in the draft. They're two totally different scenarios. So even though it hasn't worked in the past in certain spots, it doesn't mean this one won't. And the alternative is what? Have nobody in there? They're still going to draft corners. I really do believe that. They're still going to hit the secondary market. And when I say the secondary market, I'm not talking about like the second tier of players. I'm talking about the safety position, the cornerback position. They will still attack that in the draft. So not only do you have Darius Slay, but you might have someone who will beat out Sidney Jones. You might have someone like Avonte Maddox that pleasantly surprises you. I just don't know what you would do if you didn't bring in Darius Slay. And you can't be afraid to go out and get a player in free agency when you have these many holes. I mean, it's all part of it. It's one group. Trades, free agency, draft. You look at the entire package afterwards, and you're going to get different pieces in different spots, and by the end of it, it comes together and grooms together as one. I just don't know how you could be upset with a move like this. Is it the money? I'm sure it's not the compensation. I'm sure it's not the third and the fifth that concerns you. It's got to be the money, right? The 3-year extension, $50 million, 30 guaranteed. If you get 2 years out of it, 2 of the 4, 3 years out of it, well, then you bite the bullet for the rest, and you look at that guaranteed money, like I said, which is the most meaningful part of it. And once Howie comes up with this game plan, when you see the numbers, I'm sure it will be a lot easier to get out of than right now off the top of my head, because Howie does know how to work the numbers. I'm just shocked. I really am. I didn't expect to hear anybody who was skeptical about it. Okay, that's not true. I did expect people to be scared based off of never having a corner and just being afraid because it's the Eagles, but not really. I mean, everyone's got to feel excited about getting someone you can respect and know can make plays in this league.
Absolutely love the news, bros. I hope you're having a great day and a great night. So I'm absolutely pumped about this move. He's one of the best corners in the league, in my opinion. And I'm just super stoked. The contract is really good. Can't wait. Can't wait for this Eagles season. Now, I want to hear your opinion on, as of currently, right now as I'm calling, there hasn't been a move for wide receiver yet. So I want to hear your thoughts, but I love the move and can't wait for the season.
That's the excitement I want to hear. That's the excitement. You hear that? I hope you're having a great day. I hope you're having a great night. He's got the smile on his face because the trade made him feel great. Now, in terms of the wide receiver stuff, it seems like the draft is going to be the move for them, and that's totally fine with me. They're going to start looking in the draft to get their receivers, and that's cool. I'm totally okay with that mindset. Let's see where that develops. For right now, though, with the Slay conversation, you can hear the tone in his voice. It's almost like we went from one extreme to the next. One guy who's kind of skeptical. I don't know. What are we going to do? I don't know how to feel. We never had a corner like this. I hope this isn't a nightmare. We spent so much money. And then the other one's like, hey, listen, I'm so happy we got a guy we can rely on. And I feel like that's the way to feel. That's the way to feel.
Well, I'm glad Howie did something because I know the Eagle fans had pitchforks out ready to roast the guy over an open flame. I like the Slay move. They had to do something at that position, and they were running out of options. All the names that were linked to the Eagles from Byron Jones on down were off the board. You got to give to get. I think Slay is capable of giving them another 3 years. of decent productivity at that position. You still need to find, I think, another veteran. But Howie, again, while it hasn't been the, jump on free agent moves that the fans have wanted, he's added 2 starters. And I would assume as of right now, Jalen Mills would be a starter at safety if the season started today. So 3 starters added, not bad. I mean, Roseman moves at his own pace. The only concern I have, and I'm not shocked by it, is once again the Eagles are bound and determined to go with a no linebacker defense. I mean, it looks like, again, linebackers will be built from the UFAs. We'll just bring in 65 undrafted guys, throw them in a pot, and whatever guys bubble to the surface, those are our linebackers for 2020. But there's still plenty of time left before the start of the season. Everybody just needs to be patient.
You nailed it. Being patient and a lot more time. I don't know what they're going to do at linebacker. I really don't. And I was thinking maybe Nigel Bradham wouldn't get money that he thought he would in the market and would fall back to the Eagles. But according to John McMullen of 97.3 ESPN, there was some stuff going on in between the Eagles and him. He would miss practice. He missed that game that one time. It got really ugly. He ended up missing some training stuff as well. So it seems like mutually they just decided to part ways with him, and they will not bring him back based off of some missing team stuff. I mean, that's really what it is, and it's hard to process a professional athlete at the NFL level missing training, missing the bus, missing games without telling anybody. It's a very weird circumstance. I don't know what they're going to do at linebacker. Patience is the key, though. There's still plenty of time. There's still plenty of moves that can be made. When it comes to Darius Slay, I'm just thrilled. I really am. I do recognize that he's coming off of not his best seasons, but they're not dumpster fire seasons either. He will be very capable out there. We haven't seen it. I mean, we just haven't seen anything like Darius Slay in this city for a long time. So to have that comfort level on the field, it's great. The problem is there's still other holes to fill. There's still other problems to fix. And until the Eagles, Howie Roseman, until they fix that, we will still feel a little funky. That's all. And I feel like as of right now, he brought back Jalen Mills. He brought back Roddy McLeod. Okay, no one's getting super juiced for it. Brings in Hargrave. That's a phenomenal pickup. Phenomenal. Nobody is discussing how huge of a move that is. And then you go out and get Darius Slay. Those are 2 acquisitions that are really big. Really big. I think Howie deserves credit to this point. He doesn't deserve an A+, but I think he deserves more than a C+. These were 2 really good ads. Really good. And he's not done yet. He works, as Sean said, he works at his own pace. And I think that is crucial to remember when it comes to the rest of this offseason. With that being said, thank you so much for watching. Hit that thumbs up button and subscribe, and I will see you next time.